afternoon and welcome to Brewing. I'm your host. My name's Scott Leffler and it is 12:30 in the afternoon this Monday, October 22nd, 2012. Couple shout outs. It's my sister's anniversary. Happy anniversary, Kim, if you're watching. I guess just one shout out. But today's show I'm going to talk about Friday. Now, I mentioned that Friday, Heather and I were going to, well, I mentioned that I was going. Heather and I went to Rochester to see President Clinton speak. And I want to talk a little bit about that. I want to talk a little bit about presidential polling because I follow presidential polling as though it matters, because I am a political geek, if you will. I want to talk about the gender gap. And I want to talk about some odd campaigning by the opponent to my congresswoman. Let's start there. No, let's not start there. Let's start in Rochester. So, I wrote my column about this week, which will appear in tomorrow's Lockport Union Sun and Journal, as well as the Tonawanda News. It'll appear later in the week in the Medina Journal Register, and it may or may not appear in the Niagara Gazette. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I can't figure out what the hell it is they do over there, but boom, there you go. Also, it'll appear online on my blog, which the easiest way to find is just Google me, Scott Leffler. So, last Wednesday, I think it was, Tuesday, I don't know, last week sometime. I have the dates right in the column, but now I don't remember what they were. Last week I got an email from Kathy Hochul. Now, Kathy Hochul is my congresswoman. I got an email from her campaign saying, sorry, I'm trying to adjust the camera here. Got an email from her campaign saying that Bill Clinton would be in Rochester on Friday, stumping for her and Congresswoman Louise Slaughter, who is the congresswoman in the adjoining district. Now, Louise used to have this weird headphone-shaped district, but now she doesn't. Now she's pretty much just out in Rochester. Kathy's pretty much just out here. The weird headphone thing is gone. So, email said, this is going to happen, there's tickets online, blah, blah, blah. Cool. There's a press contact, so I emailed the press contact and said, hey, I'd like press credentials for this. I need one for myself and one for a photographer for the newspaper. Now, for those of you who don't know, my girlfriend Heather is the photographer for the paper. She's a photographer, I should say, for the paper I work for. That's how we met. I didn't get her job, nor did she get me mine, of course, but we did meet at work. So I asked for press credentials and heard nothing. Absolutely nothing. Didn't hear a word. So the following day, I get an email saying, oh, by the way, Congresswoman Slaughter's campaign is going to handle the press credentials. Email them. The email also noted that there would only be, as per the rules, there would be one credential for any radio station, there would be one credential for any newspaper, and there would be 3 credentials for any television station. Okay, well, whatever. So I altered my request because, as you may or may not know, I'm the city editor for the Lockport Journal. I also work for the Medina Journal Register. I don't really have a title there, but I, proofread their pages, read their stories, etc., oversee their staff. I also theoretically work for the Tonawanda News. My column appears there every week, as I already mentioned, and the Niagara Gazette. There are 4 newspapers in our cluster, if you will. So, one credential per newspaper. All right, whatever. So I amended my request to say I want one for the Lockport Journal, one for the Medina Journal Register. And I heard nothing. Still didn't hear a word. So Thursday afternoon, now the rally is Friday. This rally that we want to attend is Friday. When I sent my request, I said, if it's still possible to only give us one credential, can we please have the photographer's credential, because that's more important to me. Because I could go, like I had a ticket, I could go and stand out in the middle of the crowd and I could cover a political rally from the crowd. I've been to enough of these things. I could do it with my eyes closed. I could probably do it with my ears closed for that matter. But I still hear nothing. So Thursday afternoon, close to evening, I start making some phone calls to figure out what the hell is going on, because this is weird. Now, the last time I covered, I mentioned this last week, the last time I covered a rally of this sort was in 2004. Then President George W. Bush was giving a speech at Kleinhans, which is it's a music hall in Buffalo, for those of you who are unfamiliar. And he was there giving this speech, and everything had to be figured out well ahead of time. I don't remember how long it was ahead of this that we had found out about it, but we found out very early, and we had to give all sorts of information. When applying for our press credentials, we had to give them our driver's license number, our social security number, the names of all of our children, who we went to prom with, a permission slip from God. I actually had to get a special press pass from the sheriff's department because my normal press pass wasn't good enough. And assumingly, the sheriff's department press pass had some sort of, level of security to it. I don't know. But I jumped through those hoops. I didn't have that sheriff's department press pass. I had to get it. I'm glaring. So I jumped through those hoops. And fortunately, I knew the sheriff at the time, and I just called him today. I need this press pass. Can we make this happen? He said, yeah, sure, come down. We'll get it. Boom. So that all happened. Then when we got to, I was alone for this one. Then when I got to Kleinhans to cover this event, there was a metal detector and guys with wands and dogs and people with guns and you name it. The security was just crazy at this event. All right, so this is what I've got in my mind. However, in this case, all they wanted was our names, our titles, email addresses, and phone numbers. All right, easy enough. So Thursday afternoon, I'm calling and finding out, what's the dealio. And I finally get a phone call from some woman that works for the Hochul campaign who says, we got your request. We're not sure whether or not we can give you 2 or just 1, but the 1 press cred is definitely good. And I said to this girl on the phone, it's the photographer's one, right? Because that's the one that we really need. I really need the photographer's press credentials. She's like, yeah, you're good there. Not sure about you, though. All right, well, whatever. So Friday morning, I get a text message from Jim Krensick. Now, Jim is the reporter for the Medina Journal-Register. Jim is the Medina Journal-Register. There's also a sports guy, but for the most part, Jim Krensick is the Medina Journal-Register. He does a phenomenal job. If you ever run into him, just pat him on the back and say, you are amazing, because this guy absolutely blows my mind on a very regular basis. He has more hours in a day than most people I know. Or seemingly so, because frankly, he does more work than most people I know. Maybe I just know slackers. I don't know. But he texts me and asks when we're leaving. And so I tell him we're leaving around noon. He says, oh, I'm not leaving until 1, blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, sorry about that. I said, did you get press creds? He said, no, you credential blocked me. So I'm like, oh, I said, as far as I know, only Heather has one. There should still be one available. And he goes, no, I talked to so-and-so this morning. They told me you guys are good. You guys, plural, are good. All right, cool. So we jump in the car. We head out to Rochester. Now, Rochester is about 60 miles from where I live. It takes about an hour and a half to get there, though. There's no good way to get to Rochester. There's a straight route that takes about an hour and a half, or there's the thruway, which also takes about an hour and a half. It's just faster. Typically, I like the faster route. Even if it takes as long and goes farther, I like driving 65 miles an hour, minimum. But we took the straight route. It's somewhat scenic. Yeah. You drive by some antique shops and all that fun stuff, so whatever. So we head out to Rochester. Press check-in is at 2:30, between 2:30 and 3. If you don't check in between 2:30 and 3, you will not get in, as per the rules of whatever. So we get there, and I find a campaign person at the front of the building where there is this long-ass line of people waiting to get in. And I'm like, well, I've got my ticket, but I really hope to not wait in this line. Let's go find out where the press checks in. So we go to where the press checks in, which is around the corner, and go to check in. They had one credential for us. It didn't have anybody's name on it. They just had a credential for us. So I'm like, well, that sucks. And I run into this guy, campaign staffer, who says, well, I told you there would only be one. I said, did. You didn't tell me a goddamn thing. You sent me an email saying that these are the rules, and I sent you another email back saying, well, in that case, can we do it this way? To which you never responded. So don't tell me what you told me, because you didn't tell me anything. I was, in a word, frustrated. So we had our one press cred, and I said, all right, well, whatever. I'll go cover it from there. You know, Heather, you go in and cover it from inside. Then he pulls out, boom, no cameras. All photos will be covered by the pool cameraman, AP photographer, guy by the name of Sean. I don't remember his last name. Really nice guy. Worked for the Democrat Chronicle, which is Rochester's newspaper. And he said, you know, all photos will be through them. I said, well, that doesn't work because our Medina paper, we can't get AP photos. So AP photos doesn't do Medina paper any good. He goes, well, whether you're AP or not, this guy says you can use the photos. And no, I'm sorry, that doesn't work for me. Like, no, we need to be sure we can use the photos. We came all the way out here. I told you that I wanted her to get, if only one of us could get in, it needed to be her. So this is what's got to happen. Let me go talk to some people. So this guy disappears. Heather and I are standing outside, waiting. And by the way, the AP photographer waited outside with us, basically to make sure that everything worked out okay. Never met this guy before in our lives. I wish I could remember his last name. Really, really, really nice guy. And we're talking to one of the staffers, and you know, I'm explaining, look, I don't care what you're telling us. I can't use AP photos. So because this guy's an AP photographer, I'm not getting charged per photo, basically fined per photo that we run, when I've got a photographer here who is, by the way, the whole reason we came. Basically, we went for the purpose of getting the photos, because I've seen Bill Clinton a number of times. I always enjoy it. But to be honest, I wanted to go so Heather could get some great photos. And she did, by the way. I hope she makes these publicly available somehow, other than through the newspaper. But they were in the paper over the weekend. Great photos. I'm giving away the fact that we got in, or that she got in at least. But we got in. I just gave that away too. So we're standing out there, waiting for this guy. The guy eventually comes back, very flustered, and he's like, you're all good, whatever. So Heather's already got her press pass, and he hands me one. He hands me, hold on. He hands me this. Now, there should be a name right here. There should have my name on it. It should have my name and my organization. He actually started to fill one out with my name on it. And actually Heather's, which didn't have a name on it, just said Lockport Journal, he did write her name on it. And he started to put my name on this one. And then he's like, never mind. He like crumpled that up and handed me this blank thing. Which I found odd. And let me tell you why. So he says, you guys are good. Hands us this. We walk in. We just walked in. Now, we went around on the whole issue of how many press passes we got. But what we didn't do was, we didn't give them our IDs. We didn't get patted down. They didn't go through Heather's camera bag. Security was, in a word, lacking. Having 8 years ago gone through the security rigmarole of seeing George W. Bush, and understandable, we were still somewhat in the shadow of September 11th, so I expected the security rigmarole to be slightly less at this event. But the fact that they never checked our IDs, the fact that they never patted us down, the fact that they didn't even look in Heather's camera bag was a bit disconcerting. Walking in, I gave Heather this look. Like, really? Is this really how this is going to work? This is really kind of scary. Like, if I were President Clinton, I would be really upset at this scenario, because we could have bought anything in there, and we could have been anyone. So that was a bit unnerving, I guess. So we get in the event, and I'm giving away part of my column here, but whatever. Read it anyway. It'll be online late tonight. It'll be in tomorrow's paper. So we get in the event. By the way, this is Brewing. My name's Scott Leffler. Thanks for tuning in. I do this every day at 12:30, and You can tweet me live during the show. Just tweet me at Scott Leffler, and it pops up right there. Boom, right there it pops up, and it says, hey, so-and-so has said such and such. And then I'm like, yo, what up, so-and-so? So we're in the event, and like we're looking around, and they start letting people in. And it was not a trickle of people coming in. It was just whoosh, people. Which leads me to believe that there was no security for the rest of the folks either. Now, I can understand to a degree that security would be somewhat lax with the press because they already had our names and all that fun shit, right? But apparently they just opened the doors and let everybody in. They could not have actually checked people. They couldn't have patted people down. They couldn't have wanted people. Look, I understand that Bill Clinton is not still president, but he's still the president. And I would think that security would be a little tighter than it was. I'm just saying. So we get in, and we're looking around, and we're in the press area. Now, there's not enough seats in the press area. There are, I don't know, maybe 18 members of the press. Well, no, maybe 24 members of the press, including TV folks who were up on this stand. And all the TV stations were there, and all the newspapers were there. The Buffalo News was there, the Democrat and Chronicle was there. WBEN Radio in Buffalo was there. Carolyn Thompson from the Associated Press. You ever see Carolyn Thompson's name on a news story? I've always had this vision of Carolyn Thompson. I've never met her before. I've always had this vision of her. She looks nothing like that. And in a good way. So, we're all there. Not enough seats, so a lot of people are standing. Whatever. We're reporters. We're used to being mistreated. But there's also no power. Everyone was looking to plug something in. I really wanted to plug my phone in. I didn't bring a laptop. I considered bringing a laptop, but I also considered the possibility that I wasn't getting in, and I didn't want to have my laptop out in the audience because I wasn't sure they'd let me bring it in. So I was like, whatever, I'll just bring my phone. I could do on my phone. My phone. So, no power. No Wi-Fi. Now, that might not seem like a big deal, except when you consider that there's all these people there from the press who need to be working and need to file as quickly as humanly possible and can't necessarily file from their cell phones like I could. And in fact, this was an oft-heard complaint. And then they told us, well, here's the Wi-Fi name and here's the password, except nobody could get the Wi-Fi. We had the password for a Wi-Fi that we didn't register on our devices. So, no power, no Wi-Fi. Oh, and Dave Debo, the reporter for WBEN, they had him set up in the back, right next to this big-ass speaker. This is the radio guy set up next to a speaker that's, broadcasting sound. It was really weird. Frequently we would see people go underneath the risers to talk on their cell phone, including Dave Debo. And the whole thing, long story short, we had a great time. And Heather got some phenomenal photos, and I hope that there's a way that I can share them with you. I took a bunch of photos of Heather, which is what I do. We go to things, she takes photos, I take photos of her. She takes pictures of things that interest her, I take pictures of things that interest me, which is usually her. So, we had a great time. Bill Clinton he's Bill Clinton. That's all. It's kind of like the Beastie Boys, right? Like, what are the Beastie Boys? Are they rock? Are they rap? Are they alternative? They're the Beastie Boys. They're just, you can't compare them to anything else. They're just the Beastie Boys. Bill Clinton is the same. Is he a national treasure? Is he a rock star? He's Bill Clinton. That's all you can say about him. So if you want more on this, I did write my column about it this week. And actually my column was like uber long because I wanted to talk about both the speech and our experience there. I always enjoy seeing Bill Clinton. If he comes back to town next week, I will try to see him again. But we'll have to see. Eric Cantor, by the way, going to be in town next week in support of Chris Collins. Now, Chris Collins is running against Kathy Hochul. And Eric Cantor, this is next Wednesday? Yeah, next Wednesday, Halloween. Weird. So Eric Cantor's going to be in town for that. I don't know if I'm going. Eric Cantor, not quite the star power of Bill Clinton. And I've seen Eric Cantor before, actually. Obviously I've seen Bill Clinton before as well. I've been really, really lucky, the people that I've seen. So, we're done with that. Bill Clinton visit, fun, but riddled with problems. For the sake of these congressional campaigns, I hope they have their act together better than they showed on Friday, because it looked like complete disarray. My personal observation. Other people may disagree, although I don't think so. I think pretty much everybody in the press pool was going, what the hell is going on here? These people are clueless. Look, hosting the president, no small task. It's very difficult. But, I don't know. It seemed like they could have done better. So, after the rally, we went to Nick Tahoe's, had garbage plates. Photos of all this on my blog. Google me, Scott Lefko, you'll find it. All right, that's enough of that. Kind of. Bill Clinton, during his speech, mainly served as a Barack Obama surrogate, explaining to people why they needed to vote for Barack Obama and why they needed to get other people to vote for Barack Obama. Look, I live in New York, all right? This is not a swing state. It's not going to be close. The last poll I saw, it was like 69-31. Barack Obama is going to dominate New York State, just like he's going to dominate California, just like Mitt Romney is going to dominate Texas. There are states that are just not in play. New York is one of them. However, a lot of the swing states are in play. Now, according to most of the polling and surveys that I've read over the weekend and this morning specifically, the president has a slight lead in the majority of the crucial swing states, to the point where they say that if the election were held today, Barack Obama would have 271 solid electoral votes. Mitt Romney would have, it was like 190 something or other, and then the rest are in play. All you need is 270, so 271, boom. It looks like the president is in good shape, but there's 2 weeks to go, and there's a debate tonight, so you never know. He could show up asleep again, and Mitt Romney could really, or Mitt Romney could they could do this thing again, and you just never know. So the polls are tightening. Obama's still in the lead by a little bit. 2 weeks to go, and really, it's anybody's race. Now, I read a thing, Nate Silver. I've talked about Nate Silver before. Love Nate Silver. Not to the degree that a friend of mine does. I have a friend that lives in Israel who posted something along the lines of he wanted to have Nate Silver's babies. I'm not really into baby making with Nate Silver, but I do have a healthy level of respect for him. He posted something over the weekend that said that the gender gap is at a historic high, or close to a historic high. Now, according to polling data, when you parse out men and women, if the election were, if only women could vote, Obama would roll. Boom, 9-point advantage with women. If only men could vote, Romney would roll. 9-point advantage with men. Now, unfortunately for either side, both sides can vote. So, it's going to be really tight. But you got the 9-point advantage for women for Obama. You got the 9-point advantage for men for Romney. That's an 18-point gender gap. Now, this is the biggest difference since the year 2000, which, by the way, had the largest gender gap ever since they started parsing out men and women data. In the year 2000, and this is important. Now, remember, Obama's up by 9 points with women, down by 9 points with men. In the year 2000, Al Gore won by 11 points with women and was down by 9 points with men. So, same difference with men, higher advantage with women, still lost the election. So, again, things are very tight. George W. Bush had that 9-point advantage. Al Gore had the 11-point advantage. Now, 4 years ago, according to data, Barack Obama won by, there was a 12-point gap, but Obama still won with men. So he won by 13 points with women, and he won by 1 point with men. In In other words, he's dropped a lot. He's dropped 4 points with women, and he's dropped 10 points with men. This election is not 2008. This is all new. This is all different. And 2 weeks to go, and I'm like, on one hand, I want the damn election to be over tomorrow because I am so annoyed at listening to people whine and bitch and moan and my candidate's better and your candidate's better and your On the other hand, I love this. This is like Christmas. This is like, look. So my degree is in political science. My other degree is in journalism, whatever. But politics is my love. Politics is what I do. Politics is like, it's not the reason I get out of bed in the morning. But I mean, it is like, it's one of the things that really excites me. So this is like, it's like Christmas every day for the next 2 weeks for me. And then election night is going to be like Christmas on crack, which I look like I'm on right now, but I'm not. I'm just drinking coffee. Because it's Brewing with Scott Leffler. Brewing, coffee, get it? So, the next 2 weeks are going to be really, really interesting. Now, there's the national election, which is the one that, frankly, interests me the most. It's the sexy one, right? But then there's also the local elections. Now, this morning, I get an email from the Republican National Campaign Committee. And I get these emails every couple days. They're really, 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 really hammering Kathy Hochul. Again, Kathy Hochul is my congresswoman. That's one of the people that Clinton was there on behalf of on Friday. But just on a regular basis, look, if the economy is bad because of the Democrats, because of Barack Obama, there is at least one person that has a job that did not before Kathy Hochul was elected to Congress, because the Republican National Campaign Committee has this one guy whose job it is just to like make her look bad, and so I get these regular press releases, and they often attempt to tie her to liberals. They, oh, she's just Nancy Pelosi in Western New York. Anyone who really pays attention knows that that's not true. Not that I'm saying, look, I'm not making endorsements, so I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I know who I'm going to vote for, and it's not the Republican. We'll just say that. But I get this email this morning from the Republican National Campaign Committee heralding the fact that Kathy Hochul was endorsed by the New York Times. Now, it's really odd when a campaign will email you to say that the other person got endorsed by a newspaper. But they were celebrating it. They were really crowing the fact that Kathy Hochul got endorsed by the New York Times, and this just goes to show. In fact, here's a quote. It says, "From her liberal benefactors to her friends at the New York Times, Kathy Hochul shares the values of New York City liberals, not Western New York working families. Hochul's endorsement shows she's better suited to represent Manhattan than Medina." Medina is this little town that way in this congressional district, and it is one of the rural-ish areas, because the district is mostly rural. And so the email is basically saying, oh yeah, she's just a Manhattan liberal. However, she has been proven to vote with Republicans on things that she wants to vote with Republicans on. Her opponent, Chris Collins, who is the former Erie County executive, has publicly stated he will never vote with Democrats. I'll never vote with Democrats. That's kind of asshole-ish, in my personal opinion. Here's my thing. I want a congressperson who's going to vote their conscience, not what their party tells them to vote. I really, really, really liked our former Congressman Chris Lee, because he did what he thought was right. Sometimes he voted with Republicans, sometimes he voted with Democrats, sometimes he didn't vote because he had more important things to do back in the district. And I had just a ton of respect for him. It's kind of a shame that he did that whole Craigslist thing, but whatever. So we ended up with Kathy Hochul, who sometimes votes with Republicans, sometimes votes with Democrats. True, mostly Democrats. She is a Democrat. But she has been known to vote with Republicans, which is something her opponent says, I will never vote with the other side. That's not leadership. That's demagoguery. And I can't support someone who does that. To be fair, I'm not in love with Kathy Hochul. She's a politician, and for the most part, I don't like politicians. But whether or not it's because she's voting her Congress or because she's voting for what she thinks the district wants, I appreciate the fact that she sometimes splits her vote. So, I don't know. But she got this endorsement from the New York Times, and the Collins campaign is like, yeah, look, she's a crazy liberal. Well, not the Collins campaign, but the Republican National Campaign Committee. Obviously loosely affiliated with the Collins campaign. So they think that this is great. They want to try and make hay out of this. I don't really see it working. She also got the endorsement, by the way, of the Democrat and Chronicle, the newspaper that's out in Rochester, as did Congresswoman Louise Slaughter. Which leads me to, do newspaper endorsements matter? Now, every year, we being the newspaper I work for, we make endorsements of candidates, local candidates, national candidates, etc. And I would imagine that those endorsements are coming somewhat soon, although I don't know. I'm not in charge of that. But there's a lot of discussion on whether or not anyone cares what the newspaper thinks. And personally, I don't think that you should care what I think. What I really want you to do is I really want you to do your own research and then vote for the person that you think is going to be best for you. I've mentioned before in the presidential race, I'm not voting for Obama or Romney. In the congressional race, well, I've already let that go. But I've never understood why people would care who the newspaper says is the better candidate. If you're reading the stories in the newspaper, if you're listening to the stories on the radio, if you're watching the stories on the news, if you're getting your own news from the internet, you should have your own opinion. And I'd really like people to vote with their own opinion. Nonetheless, it's a, tried and true method, and we will make our endorsements, no doubt. But do you care? Let me know. Tweet me at Scott Leffler. Do you care who your local newspaper endorses? Because obviously some people do, because we keep doing it. I don't know. On that note, over the weekend, President Obama was endorsed by the Cleveland Plain Dealer, or Pain Feeler, as they are known in Cleveland. Every newspaper that I know of has some sort of a derogatory nomer. The Cleveland Pain Feeler, if you will. The Buffalo Snooze. My newspaper. The Lockport Onion, Scum, and Urinal. People hate newspapers, which I've always found interesting because they still buy them. So, and please keep buying them. My livelihood depends on it. But I've never understood the love-hate relationship with newspapers. So, the Cleveland Plain Dealer, I almost said Pain Feeler, the Cleveland Plain Dealer endorsed Barack Obama over the weekend. And again, do newspaper endorsements matter? I don't know. But what I do know is that the Plain Dealer has endorsed the winner every year since 1980. So, I don't know. Obama is winning in Ohio polls. It's always possible, and I've felt like we've done this before, but it's always possible that newspapers endorse the person they think are going to win, or they endorse the person that they think their people want to win, just so they can look smart. I think that's stupid. If I'm going to tell you who to vote for, it's because it's the person I want you to vote for, and not because the person I think that's going to win. Because I have no desire to look smart. All right, if you want me to, look smart, you're sadly mistaken, in my opinion, because it's just never going to happen. Anyway, so that's my last thing. That's where I'm wrapping up. Newspaper endorsements. Do they matter to you? Tweet me your answer at Scott Leffler. I will be back tomorrow. We'll probably talk about tonight's debate, right? It's Monday, which is an easy night for me at work. Well, easy-ish. Easier than normal. I only manage one newspaper tonight as opposed to the two that I usually manage. So, I should be able to watch a large portion of the debate. And I'm looking forward to it. It's on foreign policy. Here's me on foreign policy real quick before we go. My take on foreign policy. We have troops over there. I want them back here. We have troops in like 4 million countries. Any country we've ever been to, we have troops there. I don't think we should. I don't care for the military-industrial complex. I want them back home. National defense should be about defense and not about whatever the hell it is that we're doing over there. So the troops that are in Afghanistan, I want them to come home. The troops that are in Germany, like, why do we need troops in Germany? And just in case. See, that's my problem with our whole foreign policy thing, is we're always like, just in case. I think that we're over-prepared, if you will. I think we're all too willing to go to war. I want us to return to a mentality of 1940, 1941, when it's like, look, there's the world out there, here's us. We're good, that's a mess, we don't want to be part of that mess. Now, not only do we want to be part of the mess, I feel like we create the mess. Foreign policy, for me, I'd like us to come home. But that's just me. Not so much Switzerland. I'm not saying that we can't advocate for our interests, because we do obviously have interests around the world. I just think that we hurt our cause by going out and being the police of the world. I think that we create tension. I think that we create strife. I think that, frankly, we create terrorists, and I think that's a huge mistake on our part. I think that we should focus on America, and if the rest of the world is going to crumble, okay, let them crumble on their own. That doesn't necessarily mean that I don't like foreign aid, although I think we give way too much of it. I think that there are starving people in America, and we should really take care of them. I think that there are homeless people in America, and we should really take care of them. I think, here's my basic thought. All right, look, my house. I've got my shit. You've got your shit. Once I get my shit straightened out, I will gladly help you with yours. But on a global scale, our shit ain't straight, and we need to focus on that. My personal opinion. Once we get our shit straight, then hey, Uganda, here's some cookies. I don't know, whatever. But that's my thought on foreign policy. Very libertarian of me, I know. It's the way the founding fathers wanted it. So, on that note, today's show was a little longer than usual, and I appreciate those of you who have stuck with me through it. I know that to actually see the numbers right here, you can't see me pointing. Numbers right there. I can see how many viewers I have, and it goes up and it goes down. And it did that today. So those of you who stuck with me, thank you very much. I'll be back tomorrow. And those of you who disappeared, hopefully you came back and watched it on the YouTube, because every day I do this live on Ustream, and then later in the day I post it to YouTube where the rest of the world can watch it. Because some people actually work for a living, or pretend to at the very least, like me. For Brewing, my name's Scott Leffler. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.